Welcome back to Tailosive EV, ladies and gentlemen. This is Randy from the Tesla Experience channel, and we're in his awesome dual motor Model 3. Awesome wrap, by the way.
So you see what it looks like.
You can tell. It's a nice look. It goes with your persona and every other product you've collected over the years.
I have a problem.
I've got a few questions.
I have a few
now
answers.
that you've had Model 3 over a year.
Okay.
What was one of the biggest things you were not expecting to make a major difference? Like, you obviously were hyping up, you were excited to see you own a Tesla for a long time. What's something that has been a big deal that you didn't expect?
It's the little things that I would say the little things would be the part that paints the overall picture. Each little puzzle piece to the bigger picture. And one of the little things, well, a few of the little things that I wasn't expecting in the conglomerate is the UI. I would say this interface that's right below the camera, changing the way it does, and actually making the vehicle drive better. It drives smoother today than it did 1 year ago, and it, in turn, the OS or the UI on iOS on my phone, it's so convenient and it's getting more stable. And it's a little thing I never thought about, and I find such a luxury in the winter times, it's heating up the seats or cooling down the car during the summertime. But
that was awesome when we just used that today.
Yeah.
We went for a hike earlier and it was hot, and you just
turn it on.
Cooled it down.
So I would say the biggest thing I wasn't expecting is how much I would love the UI of using this, because this is the car. You interact with this.
You experience it, right?
Or that drives this machinery.
On the polar opposite end, what was something you thought was going to be a big deal leading up to it, and now that you have owned it, you're like, I guess that wasn't a big deal.
The UI. Just kidding. The summoning. The stuff that I've paid thousands of dollars on. FSD as a whole that unlocks certain features, not a big deal. I don't use it.
Navigate on Autopilot and
you made a note that you noticed that I don't use it as much as you thought I would.
I've noticed that with being in the car and riding around with you, is that around town, especially with intersections and stuff, you're really not using Autopilot.
I have trust issues.
Yeah.
I have trust
would
issues.
Understand with a car this much.
Yeah.
When you starts driving towards obstacles, you're like,
the problem is that, and I guess it kind of turns into the UI, but it's actually the computer itself that it's still very much beta right now. So one thing that I was kind of hyped up, I'm like, oh, level 5 is right around the corner. I'm a believer that it's not, because just the way that I see it randomly break and all this stuff, it's not there yet.
It's not doing it.
So I love it for it being a car, and I love the minimalistic interior and the design, and I love the features that I talked about with just getting onto the app or doing certain things like that. Outside of that, everything else is still beta.
And you clearly enjoy it. I think it's your favorite car ever, to say the least.
Ever.
But if there was something you could add or could change, maybe future Model 3s, what would be number one? I know there's probably a big list, but what's at the top of your list?
I have two. Actually, I have two.
Okay, we'll do two.
Power trunk.
That was going to be my number one. I think that makes the biggest difference.
It matters.
Yeah.
I don't care about the space or even the front. It is what it is. Give me the power trunk so I can control it in the app and do all that.
Experimenting with the Model Y earlier last month. That made such a big difference. The fact that when we needed to unload stuff, you could literally just tap in and
go.
Opens up.
Yeah.
And when you're driving a car that has all these fancy software and autonomy features, and yet the trunk won't open by itself, you're kind of left hanging. You're like,
because I paid a good $1 for this.
You paid a lot, so you're
like, I just wanted that.
Come on.
The other thing that I would want, and I know it's rolling out now, is interior wise in the cabin. I would like to have an outlet.
Oh, like a full size, like a power plug. Yeah. Okay. I kind of think that's weird. They don't have that.
We have our USBs, and I use the wireless charging and stuff like that, and I have USB-A, so I know the new ones are doing USB-C.
Right.
I have a use case where I would very much enjoy having an outlet that I can then customize whatever I want the port to be, whether it's even micro or what have you at that point.
True. And like a direct MacBook, if you're using something that's not USB-C. It's like you have all this power, probably more battery than most cars have on the road today, and yet you can't just do a simple plug-in.
I would use it to charge, like, I think if I had an actual outlet, I would bring my Sony camera and charge my battery.
That's what I was thinking.
Just, I find use cases where I could take the car out further and do more with it and not rely on iPhone all the time. Which I don't mind, but I am compromising in that sense.
Where would you put it if you could put a...
Oh, right in here. Right?
Yeah, right in the console?
Right in the console.
Yeah, that would make sense.
That makes sense.
Okay.
There's also a hidden compartment that's not really being used for anything under here. And maybe in there, like up against the back.
Space.
It is. But for right now, it's only used to unlock the car if you have the key card. So those are the two first top of the mind. But the big thing would probably be the truck more than anything.
Someone who hasn't bought one.
Okay.
Ask me to lean more Y or 3. Like, how do you feel as a 3 owner about the Y?
I love the power trunk.
Yep.
I like the higher thing in the back. Yeah. However, I've heard from many people.
As you can see in this video, visibility in the 3 is quite a bit better in comparison to the Model Y I tested.
This part right here is not even really that obstructive.
No.
As you can see. So I've heard visibility is a problem.
For me, it was kind of
is an issue.
A little bit.
I would say I would still recommend the 3.
Really?
Cheaper. You're not really giving up that much. If you're buying a new vehicle now, and if standard's USB C.
Yeah, USB-C and wireless charging.
If that's standard, the power trunk is not a deal breaker.
No. It's just one of those.
If you care
it would be great icing on the cake.
If you care about the UI as much as I do, if you care about the future of where it's going, I mean, you're set all the way. Save some money along the way and put it towards wrapping the car.
Yeah. What color would I wrap it?
Matte blue.
Okay. That makes sense. That's we got to match our watch bands, I guess.
I'm wearing blue today.
Follow-up bonus question.
Sure.
How heavily would you recommend wrapping? Would you say everybody should, or was it just kind of
it doesn't have to be a color wrap, but I would recommend a protective wrap.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
Just because you're dropping that type of money and you're buying new, a clear coat wrap, I would have done that too. Even sometimes it goes from gloss to more of a satin finish. I mean, there's still ways to, but you need a protective wrap. Okay. I would recommend that just because throughout the time, I remember the first time I scuffed my one of my wheels, like I was turning, and I looked at it, and I had the car for maybe 2 weeks. I almost cried. And then other times, like I just boom, and I get a little scratch like that, and I'm underneath the hood. I'm upset, and then I've talked about it on my channel. I have a dedicated video, and
link in description. Check it out.
And then also in our podcast, I was in a car accident,
right?
And the protective wraps are actually more absorbent, and where I have a plastic on the back that's covered underneath the wrap, and there are scuffs there for it. I feel if I had the absorbent wrap, it would have not been as damaging. Granted,
I see. Luckily
the car was nothing actually damaged it, just a little
not a major
rash.
Accident, but yeah.
But the rash could have been avoided. So
sure.
I think a protective wrap is definitely needed. If you're paying $2,000-$3,000 to wrap the whole thing, I looked at it as an insurance policy.
Okay, gotcha. Well, fair enough. So check out, we do a podcast together, in case you didn't know, the Taylosa VV podcast. Check out his link in the description below. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Take care.